Okay guys, so you've fallen in love with a Filipina. I can sympathize with you. I'm there myself. Still love my wife very, very much. So you've been online and you've been on website like Asian Dating maybe, or Filipino Cupid, another one is called Cherry Blossoms. And you've been careful to avoid the scams, and she's a beautiful woman and she's not asked you for any money and she's only interested in you. Here are a few things to consider. Going forward, are you going to marry her or do you want to just shack up? Because it's going to be very difficult to simply live together in the Philippines. That's a difficult proposition. Unless you're willing to move to the Philippines full time, and if that's the case, then that's fine. There are a couple of other vloggers that are doing just that. I think Rike at his channel is called Life Beyond the Seas, and there's Ned at I believe it's My Philippine Dreams. These are both guys who just decided they had enough of life in the rat race and moved to the Philippines and met themselves some beautiful ladies and are living together and enjoying life. And nothing wrong with that if that's what you like. But if you intend to bring your Filipina to the U.S. or anywhere in the West really, then you will need to get married. So let's discuss two ways of going about that. One is you go like what Vivian and I did. I went to the Philippines, we got married, I came back to the US and I started her immigration process by filing Form I-130 with the U.S. Customs and Immigration Service, USCIS. You fill out the form, send them their $420 US, and make sure you read up on it and study some of the blogs and other things out there to make sure that you use the right approach. You put together a very nice package, all well organized, cover letter, table of contents, etc., etc. You have to jump through a lot of hoops. You have to prove that you have a valid marriage, that you have an ongoing relationship. And the reason for that is understandable. The Customs and Immigration Service has had to deal with a lot of fraud in this area in the past. And maybe they still deal with a good deal of it today, I don't know. But they have had to deal with it in the past. They're very, very anxious. They scrutinize every one of these applications, or they call it a petition. So first of all, you need to be an American citizen, or I don't know what it's like in Britain or Australia or any of the other countries, but in the US, you need to be an American citizen and be able to prove it. So for instance, I made a copy of all the pages of my passport, sent them a copy of my birth certificate and everything else to prove to them that I am a bona fide U.S. citizen. Being a U.S. citizen gives you the right to petition the Customs and Immigration Service to grant to your wife a visa so that she can travel to the U.S. and a permanent resident green card, so that she can travel to the U.S. and live with you. So once again, there are a lot of hoops you have to jump through, a lot of details in filling out that form, far too many for me to get into in this video, but if you have any questions about that stuff, feel free to put your questions in the comment below. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have regarding that, and point you to some of the websites and other places that I've found useful in regards to the I-130 petition. The Customs and Immigration Service calls that a petition for an alien relative, in other words, a non-U.S. national but she's my relative because she's my wife, right? So that makes her my relative. There is another way that you can do it, and I think, you know, I've heard from different folks about the length of time that each one takes, and it seems to me that they're pretty much equal. Another way that you can do it is file an I-129F petition for an alien fiancé. So let's say you've gone to the Philippines and you met the girl of your dreams and you want to bring her back to the States so that you can get married in the United States. And this is also possible. There are more restrictions on the amount of time. I think you only get 90 days once she arrives in the U.S. You have to be married within 90 days and other things. For me, it just seemed a whole lot easier to just go to the Philippines and get married there. But there are a lot of people. There's another blogger, Seth, over at his channel is Seth, Says Style, S-E-Z-S-T-Y-L-E, Says Style. He did the I-129F and brought his wife over on the fiancé visa, they call it. And they seem quite happy. As a matter of fact, the last time I watched his channel, I believe he's ready to make the trip back, and he's quitting his job and moving to the Philippines. He's a younger guy in his 30s, moving back to the Philippines, or moving to the Philippines. I guess his wife is moving back. And I wish them the best of luck on their adventures over there. I really, really do. So those are kind of your two options with regards to marrying and bringing your Filipina bride, either as a fiance or as your wife, to the United States. Those are the two options that you have. Another thing I wanted to discuss with you, and maybe you're not at the stage that you're ready to marry, but you found somebody that's pretty serious. And let's say you're an older guy like me. I'm in my 60s, and Vivian is not that much younger than me. She's in her late 40s. But let's say you're in your 60s and you found a Filipina who is 22 or 23 or maybe 25, and she is interested in you. That's a pretty big age difference, and for us culturally in the U.S., we tend to think that's not such a good thing. But in the Philippines, the Filipina, to her, that's not as big a deal, because you were seen, first of all, she's going to like you for your Western features. And I've discussed this in a previous video. She likes, most Filipinas like Western features. They like this big nose and my Dumbo ears, I think I said. And so they're attracted to that. So even if you're just an average looking guy in the U.S., you're going to be a rock star in the Philippines. In the Philippines, okay? My personal, and this is just for me personally, when I was on the websites looking for my partner in crime, Vivian, but when I was there, I wasn't looking for a 25-year-old, and my first thought was, well, a 25-year-old is going to want to have children. And I already have 2 kids, and so does Vivian, and neither one of us want or can have any more children, and we're okay with that. But if you're in your 60s and you're not wanting more children, a 25-year-old, if you marry her, she's going to want children. She may say that she doesn't, because Filipinas can be very accommodating and loving. She may say she doesn't, but deep down inside, she's going to want children. So that's something that you want to keep that in mind while you're dating. And if you found somebody that you really like and you still, this big age difference still exists, make sure you talk it through with your Filipina, okay? Make sure you talk to her and explain to her what you do want, what you don't want, what you're willing to compromise on, and to see if there's things that she's willing to compromise on. Okay, guys, so feel free, leave comments in the comment section below. I read all the comments, I respond to all the comments, assuming that they're appropriate comments, of course. And do hit the subscribe button. Actually, I think we're putting it up here on this side, but there's a red one below. Okay, subscribe to the channel. You can stay tuned on on updates as we come out. I'm really getting into making these videos, so there are going to be more and more of them all the time. Thanks for watching so much. Goodbye.